Hey guys, this is Sean from PlayersInGreen on Instagram. Of course, that's where you know me from. And I'm here to bring you your very first tutorial on how to freeze a player or how to make a player look frozen. It was one of the most asked things I had received in the recent days ever since my Kyrie design. So I want to kind of show you how you would freeze a player, and here's like the end product I have here. I did it out once just to make sure I had everything down and the steps written out. So before we begin, some things you're going to need before we start is obviously Adobe Photoshop. CS5 and higher is great, CC is fine. So just make sure you have Photoshop. I'm sorry if you have apps, I can't really help you out. I don't know how to do it on apps. I've never touched an app. I don't even know what the names of the apps are. And you're going to need some things here. Well, as long as you want to follow along, I added the link to my Vince Carter picture here, the background, and I have a texture that I put a link to. Let me just bring this in there. There you go. And the texture. So these are the three things you're going to need if you want to follow along. So let's get started. One of the first things we're going to do is we're going to duplicate Vince Carter a couple times. Alright, so we duplicated it a couple times. I'm going to make that top layer invisible now because we're going to work with this second layer of Vince. And what we're going to do first is we're going to change his color to a light blue. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Image, Adjustments, and the Hue and Saturation. And what we're going to do is make him a light blue color. This way we can show he's frozen. You know, you ever notice when someone's frozen, it's like a lightish blue. So we're going to click Colorize. Mess around with the settings here. This is some of the artistic parts of designing. And you want to kind of get that light bluish color. Mess around with it somewhat. Alright, I like what we got here. We'll go with this. Okay, now that we have this, we can show that layer above us, and we're going to duplicate that. And now we're going to go into our filter gallery, and we're going to go to Chrome. It's under Sketch, so you're going to open it up like this. Go Sketch, Chrome. You can mess around with the detail and the smoothness if you want. I'm going to keep mine the same just because I don't have a lot of time to mess around with the settings. And now that we've done that, I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm sorry, you didn't need this other Vince right now. And what we're going to do now is we're going to soft light overlay these onto Vince. Alright, so see, now we have like this weird texture around Vince Carter. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that top one and we're going to lower that opacity down to about 50. See, it makes it a little bit smoother. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take that other duplicated Vince on top and we're going to change this one. We're going to adjust him to a, oops, sorry, wrong thing. A light, a very white lens. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to colorize. We're going to make him very white. We can lower down that opacity again. Let me lower down the saturation. And you just kind of really want to get him nice and white. And we're going to overlay this, soft overlay that as well, so that way he's a little bit more whiter to give it more of that frozen feel. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take our texture that I gave you, we're going to make it visible, and we're going to take our magic wand tool here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to that layer with Vince, and we're going to select anywhere around Vince, and we're going to get this nice outline of Vince Carter here. And we're going to go back to our texture, and we're going to hit delete. So now you should have this figure of Vince Carter with the texture around it. And we're going to soft overlay the texture. And so now we have this nice texture on it. He's starting to really look kind of frozen. And to really show that he is frozen, I want you to download that brush packet that I have in the description. And we're going to go to our brush. I already have it set up, so you know, scroll down wherever you have a brush. Change your color. You want to go to your color swatch and select kind of the outer layer of Vince to get that color that he has. So this way you could really match, the icicles can match his color of his, that you gave him. And we're going to use that brush once, so select anywhere. And now you're going to take your move tool and you're going to move it into the position of his back. Well, that's where I'll be placing it, on his back. So I'm going to give him on that angle, and there we go. Put it right on his back. But it doesn't look that visible, so what you're going to do is you're going to want to duplicate that. And there you go. It looks a little more visible. I'm going to merge those layers now. So you got this ice here, and then I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to use this as another icicle somewhere on his body. You could take another brush, use different, there's many different ices in that brush set I gave you. I'm just doing this kind of quickly. And we're going to put some on his leg. So as you can see, we kind of have this Vince Carter who's frozen. He looks pretty frozen. The one I showed you before, which was this one, I just made visible. Pretty much the same thing. He might be a little bit lighter. I would really recommend playing around with the settings, because although this looks kind of frozen, you really have to put the time into messing around with the opacities, making sure the detail's right to make him look really frozen. Like, he looks kind of frozen here, but there's so much more you can add to this. Like, one thing I would recommend doing is, I'll just do it really quickly, is duplicate, one of these layers of Vince and making them really white. So you go to the exposure, make the exposure really high, and I take like a nice feathered brush that is kind of scratchy, so that way it blends nicely, and you just kind of want to try to give it a contrast throughout the object, because a frozen object isn't one solid color, so you want to give it a nice contrast. And there's so many more things you can do to play around to make them look more frozen than what I had shown you. That was kind of a quick tutorial on how to just show that he's a little bit frozen, but there's more of an artistic to this. You have to really play around and put the time in. I wouldn't recommend just doing the bare minimum like I did there. I really recommend putting in a good 20-30 minutes onto just the frozen part of your player. But as you can see, he looks pretty frozen here. I would also recommend not making him too white, or unless you're going to use a black background, but you want to show some contrast so you can see his face, you can see his uniform, and you can see that he's more than, you can see the actual figure. You can't just have someone white and just frozen, because it just doesn't look good. It doesn't pop. You have to be able to identify the person as well, especially if they're a main focus in your piece. But I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to post below. I plan on doing some more. I plan on doing a lighting tutorial, a water tutorial, and even a fire one. So please subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and once again, subscribe to my channel. Thanks, guys.